How is today? Goal today is work out up to work out where I was at, try and get things polished off into a form that get things a window. All right. I updated my graphic driver at some point. I just hardware. Hello. I am. All right. Where was I? Off hardware. Doesn't looking up everything. Yes, I was just saying I updated my graphics drivers. Rather unhappy. Okay. So I know I was working mechanism distribute AI, doing that using WebSocket. In order to get that to work, I Redis code to multiple clients. This is all back to me. Slightly distributed. Interesting stuff. Okay, so I think that the client, I remember where I was up to, all the code seems to be. I don't have any errors. Like the WebSocket get back out over the connection. So you can see here when we subscribe to a queue, but we connect a WebSocket, I'm a message say that we. So what I'm expecting service put this in, but well, once for reason for that is up to the command line and have a look at our and run myself. entity, see that single control. All right. Now, importantly, has this type agent on it, should cause it to be processed by the AI. So, other screen, I just all right. Bug tool. So, control the output. Now, I'm expecting the AI agent. Well, let's make sure the queue is there. Just hold on. List the queue. Sure enough, we AI agent query for compile. Sure enough, we send every tick, see it. Control being set for ready processing. Welcome back, Tuba. Okay, so this queue stuff is definitely working. So I guess another question I have, I connect client. In order to get it to do here, can I connect to client? Does it load between expected what writing any? And I can see them both leaving. That is something. Oh, there it is. All right. Got you. So let's just call this. Am I going to have a devlog where I just work on me? I actually have a devlog where I do some. I'll have to dig up which one that is. I'm not sure how much detail I go into. I do model view center. Where else do I use it in crafting space? Crafting it. So yeah, if you can, I can't remember exactly what topic of devlogs. Well, one of them is going to be the crafting, bit about MVP, and the menu probably first or second multiplayer. The reason I put the menus in to allow the all the port get. Oh, my audio's choppy. Don't. Oh, yes, it is. Uh, testing, testing. Okay. I'll see if that's better. I think my gain was a little low and my filters were clipping my voice out. Yes, so I do the menus in either the first or the second multiplayer devlog. I had to add menus so that the user could configure the host name and port they were going to connect to. I also use the MVP approach, the model view presenter, on the crafting interface. So when I do my first crafting recipe, which is when I added stone axes to the game, I believe I had a little bit of MVP in that as well. I do apologize. I am slightly distracted. I just need to keep an eye on my emails. Okay, so to do, my first to do is make sure entity queues distribute load across multiple clients. So it's not doing that at the moment. That's pretty straightforward, but needs to happen. Okay. So next question is this. Is my ticker service receiving this data? And it looks like we're sending out 3 requests. Let's just disconnect these other ones. Disconnect, disconnect. And we can see here that it's still trying to send these out, which means I need to handle disconnects. I've got the to-dos here. The next devlog is likely to be titled uh, uh, something to do with getting the back end more scalable. I don't have a title yet, but it will be about the back end side of things. And just a recap of stuff that happened uh, just after I did my last devlog, because that's when I went off and did the game jam. And so, yeah, I'll talk a bit about that with some screenshots of yours there too, Box. Just to close off that, because I think I finished off saying, yeah, I'm about to do a game jam, and I did the game jam, and then it was probably a bad decision because that's one of the things that's kind of made it so difficult for me to get the devlog done. Is it was so much chopping and changing, and it's just going to take me a while to collect all the footage for that. Okay. Let's see. Oops, I don't want that. Go away. Close annotations. So how am I going to make it handle the connection closing? Well, scribe queue. It's all okay. I need the entity service. Okay. So I think what we can do in here is we can do a ws dot, yeah, on close. Redis dot quit. I don't think that's what I want. That return a handle of some sort. Yes, this looks like it returns a handle. I'm unlikely to be streaming tomorrow, Two-Box. I will see how I go. Just depends on some meeting times that I've got coming up. Okay, let's just stop this container here, whatever the cluster is called. About to send Jason a link to that. Is this my? Yeah, this is my code. Okay, this returns just a promise of void. All right, I need to look up Redis TypeScript cancel subscription. Unsubscribe, that seems pretty sensible. At client1.unsubscribe. I'm just trying to find where this goes. Entity client, entities route. Here we go. Redis dot subscribe. I'm expecting that does not exist. Ah, I see. Let's do this. Subscription.unsubscribe. And then back in here, I need to return something a bit more sensible here. I think we can do an await on that. There we go. Thank you, Copilot. So I'm just going to return an object that has an unsubscribe field, which is just a function to do the actual unsubscribe. Hello, Oslath. Welcome back. Yes, it has been. Okay. I think this is fair enough. So if the WebSocket closes, then we need to actually remove our subscription. That's pretty easy. So let's try this. We bring it up. Check that everything has come up correctly. How far have I come with the game? So I'm not sure when you were last in. There was a good kind of 2 or 3 months there where I got basically nothing done. So at the moment, I'm still focused on getting the back end scalable. So I'm writing the code at the moment that helps distribute the AI work out to multiple AI processing nodes, so that if it has to process 1,000 AI entities, then it can just do that by spinning up more instances. Still at it, Kilo. Is my service up? My service is up. We come back here. We Let's just get one of these connections. I'll connect to this one. Yeah, everyone just came in all at once. Connect. I should see entities coming through. Excellent. Now back in the logs, I should see it sending those JSON things through, JSON blobs. But if I disconnect, then I expect it to stop sending them through. And sure enough, it stopped sending them through. Beautiful. So we handle connections going away now. Okay. So what I still don't handle what's the question, Two-Box? I still don't handle in here only send each entity to a single only send each entity to a single subscriber. Devlogs, what would be one or multiple things to upgrade or improve? I'd have to have a think about that. One thing that springs to mind is around audio and making sure you're maintaining fairly consistent audio levels. So I think that from memory, the audio does jump around a bit. So yeah, there are loud bits and soft bits, and it can be a bit tricky to get that stuff right. But if you listen to my early devlogs, I had really serious issues with my audio. There's lots of reverb, and a few people complained about my audio. Yeah, so the other thing that, and this isn't necessarily about your devlog, but this is just a general thing that I think everyone can benefit from. Whenever you're trying to communicate an idea, whether it's in person or through a video, you really want to have a structure to what you're saying. And the structure is normally, let me just pull up another emblazoned scratchpad here. The structure I recommend, and a lot of people recommend this, is tell them what you're going to tell them. Tell them, and then tell them what you told them. Now, this sounds silly, but this is the same for any kind of communication. And if you're writing like an essay or a paper for a school or university, then this basically breaks down into you got your introduction, you got your body, and then you've got your conclusion. And so what it does is if you end up just kind of instead going, don't do this, which is just point 1, point 2, point 3, then people don't know what frame of mind they should be in. So this is just a very general piece of advice that I give people. What you want to do instead, do this instead, is you want to actually go into and orange covering eyes. What, have I got something that's not meant to be in here? I think I'm okay. The funny thing is I can't see them in my view. I just get the I just get the text descriptions for them in my comment view. Oh, it looks like it's doing the same thing on stream as well. That's Restream's fault. Oh no, that's stream. Yeah, that's Restream's fault. So instead of just kind of going through each of your points, what you want to do is you want to say something like, I'm going to talk about point 1, point 2, and point 3. And so you'll notice I tend to do this in the, well, I actually go, and I always have a hook at the start. So this is the thing that, no, that's not a maths expression, but anyway, um, uh, I always have, they always recommend in a video or a presentation you're doing that you have just, you know, you need to get people's attention just in the first 15 seconds, just for, this is the video for you. Otherwise, you'll lose people in the first 15 seconds. You then do an introduction, and you'll notice that when I do this, I kind of I put timestamps on the screen. You don't need to do that. It's fairly controversial doing that. But I do tell you what each of the points are that I'm going to cover in my video. But then still don't just go into point one, point two, point three. What you actually do is you do a point one intro to make it clear that you've started talking about point one. Then you go and talk about point one, and then you do a point one conclusion. And then you repeat this for point two. Do a point two intro, and so on. And then what you do off the end is you just do a little summary at the end. So this is a structure that I particularly like. Anytime you're trying to sell something, and this is something that I've probably mentioned before, that I have a startup, and anytime I'm trying to sell stuff, this is exactly the format that I use in my sales pitches. And even face to face, you've got to have this hook. And you know, this might be an appeal to emotion or something like that. So when I'm selling something, I will probably use a stat or something like that to whoever I'm trying to sell an idea to. I want them to have an aha moment in the first 15 seconds so that they go, I really need to pay attention to the rest of what this person's saying. I'm writing this. Wait, I don't need to. it's all on video. So yeah, this is an approach to communication that it's not just about YouTube videos or devlogs or anything like that. It's just a general approach. Now you'll notice I don't really use it on my streams. I'll do a little intro at the very start on my stream. And the reason for that is I don't know what I'm going to talk about on a stream necessarily. And the audience, most of my audience is live. And so most of you are never going to see my intro anyway, because you all kind of drop in the first half hour or so. So I don't worry so much about this structure for a dev stream. That said, I do still do an intro where I do say, I could do a video and it might blow up. There is a lot of stuff around about this, so I don't know where people are in their kind of careers and things, but this is the kind of stuff that's covered in like anyone doing a startup accelerator. This just gets drilled into you like nothing else. So yeah, that's yeah. Maybe one day I'll do a video on it. Okay. Now, so I got that bit working. We now handle unsubscription. It's a fun little tangent. On getting into annotations, I don't want annotations. So the next question is, why is the AI service not causing a WebSocket to connect? It's going to be something really silly. Important for university. Yeah, it's something that, I don't know, it depends on, like I did a computer science degree at university, and it doesn't, it's not something that's necessarily needed for undergraduate, um, uh, yeah, for undergraduate sciencey type things. For communication degrees, yeah, it's absolute. I believe it is usually covered in communication degrees, and certainly in postgraduate, I believe it is covered because they need to know it because they're getting funding and stuff. Um, but yeah, universities they they tend to focus, and rightly so, I think they tend to focus less on skills and more on uh, more on learning, I guess, rather than so they're not about teaching; they're about teaching you how to learn, and I think that's how it should be. Um, um, well, in a bachelor's degree, you're never really seeking. You're rarely talking to anyone outside your course. There are a million and one exceptions to that. But most of your work that you're being assessed on is, you're doing assignments. You might be presenting it to your lecturer, but um, all you're trying to convince your lecturer is that you've learnt the material um, that they expect you to have learnt. Okay, yeah, I'm going to go off on a little tangent there. A lot of people will complain that universities in computer science don't teach. Uh, they sometimes don't teach what's considered, uh, commercially useful technologies. So, I mean, I went through university many, many years ago, and they were just starting to bring in Java, and Java wasn't. They were using a theoretical language before that, and everyone's like, "Well, why are you teaching us a theoretical language? No one's using this in industry. You should be teaching us more useful languages." The counter to that is, well, you're not meant to leave university going, hey, I learnt TypeScript at university. You're meant to be learning algorithms and how to build algorithms. And so, yeah, I disagree with the common argument that universities don't teach enough marketable skills. All right, back to this. Um, so when we subscribe to the queue, it's meant to connect this client. Now, I suspect, do I just need to do like a ws.connect or something? Oh, client dot. Hmm. Is this code running? Is going to be my first question. Yes, this code is running. Do we ever come in here or here? Yes, we do connect in here. I don't know why. Oh, it connected 3 clients. That's to be expected. But this one is never running. And in fact, we know that the entity service is never seeing this request come in, don't we? What's this? Hmm. We've got a connection refused in here. I need to find a sample of this node ws dot excuse me, open example. Okay, this is strange. Oh, that's annoying, Osler. Nothing like going and typing something out and then having being told, nope, sorry, too long. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, feel free to take inspiration. I mean, I reuse you know, the music is not mine. That's just from the YouTube audio library. And suddenly the style of wording and things like that go for it. Uh, uh, I mean, don't take my actual intro animation, but yeah, feel free to steal my structure and styling. Um, yeah, I'll have a look at that toolbox after the stream. Um, motivation. Yeah, awesome. Okay, so this is not working. I mean, this is pretty much what I'm doing, right? Maybe I should put in an error handler as well, just to. I'm doing a new WebSocket, and yeah, this is doing a WebSocket. Just rename that. Hold on. Web. Hang on. Maybe WS is not what I want. Oh no, this is, yeah, this is exactly the same what I just had. All right, so let's put an error handler in. Trying to figure out how to make a dedicated server multiplayer game using Lockstep. Yes. Um, yeah, and of course, Lockstep is fine for if it's effectively a turn-based game. But if you've got any real-time elements, then Lockstep can be problematic from a latency point of view and a consistency point of view. So I'm assuming you're effectively turn-based. And even if you're turn-based, you still need to be careful with consistency if the turns are synchronous. Sorry, um, uh, parallel. So if all players are taking their turn at the same time, do just be careful that you think through consistency properly. Can be done, but just something to be careful of. Oh, right. We're connecting to queue. I think this looks fine. I do love that it's able to use my own internal API and interpret and infer things like the error levels. Very slow input only. Yeah, fair enough. All right. Let's just see what that did. Restart this service. I'm hoping we get an error out of this. Breakpoints, I think. So we're not getting an error. Hard to find resources on how to do it. I found a really good blog post once about. Let me just see if I can pull this up. Um, the blog post I found wasn't about games. It was about remote simulation. Um, I don't think it's that one. Ooh, this looks. Is this it? Yes, this is the one. Um, I would strongly recommend giving that a read. Uh, I don't agree with everything he says, particularly around. Uh, from memory, he kind of suggests that TCP is, should be avoided at all costs. Uh, oh no, he's not saying that. If you need reliable order, you can do better than. Oh yeah, okay, yeah. So he thinks anyone suggesting TCP is dead wrong. I think that he is dead wrong on that. um, and certainly as a first implementation, TCP is going to it's going to do most of the hard networking stuff for you, and so you can be focusing on correctness and getting your protocols right, and then you can move to UDP afterwards. He argues that you should go straight to UDP, but I think that you're going to be trying to work out what is caused by network issues and what is caused by issues in your data structures or protocols. So I do recommend starting with TCP. That link I sent, by the way, is part way through a series, and I'd recommend reading the series from the start. Okay, so why is this not working? Yeah, that makes sense. I was like, uh, you should be flexible to which libraries and things you're using. It makes a lot of sense. Use whatever makes your life the easiest. and gets across the line the fastest. All right. In here, I'm going to say connected to queue. I'm just going to give it a, pull this out as URI. I can't remember how to pull out a variable. There we go. Then I want this to be a template string, URI. Okay. So this is trying to connect directly to the entity service. So we're bypassing Nginx here. Hello, Metalstorm. Welcome. Okay. I'm going to have to look at my Nginx configuration and just see if I am connecting on the correct port. When something comes into slash entities, we are connecting entity to service or something upstream. Entity, which is on port 8080. That is correct. Okay. So if I get the ticker service running in Docker, what's this doing? Huh. I am a little bit confused here. Error connecting to gateway. Oh, it's not clear if this is running or not. So let's just stop it, restart it. What have I done? I do not know. I just want to make sure that this is able to mostly work. So we can contact the entity service. Is there a command line I can run to test a WebSocket? WebSocket command line WSCat. That sounds like fun. Right, let's do this straight on this Docker box. Something is not happy. Okay. Docker compose down. But blow everything away. Okay, so I should be able to just connect like that. What does the minus C do? Does it tell me? Doesn't seem to tell me. Um, okay, we come in here, we come to the ticker service. This looks a bit happier. Terminal. Ah, of course, we don't have that because I just rebuilt everything. So let's try that again. And then we'll do that. And then I'll grab that. Hmm. Okay. I assume it's not something silly like the extra slash in here, is it? Oh, I bet you it is. That would be annoying. I don't know why I'm not getting an error out of it. I won't be. I'll be getting a disconnect. Ah. Client dot on close. I bet you. That is going to show the queue disconnecting. Um, uh, Start. What's happening here? Yep, there we go. Those queues disconnected. So, this isn't ideal, but this should fix the issue. Um, is that not getting any? Oh, hang on. I probably don't. I blew away my database, didn't I? I probably don't have any entities. So let's do a patrol. And then the ticker service, sure enough, is receiving messages. Excellent. Okay. So the next thing I need to do is I don't know, what do I need to do next? I need to make sure that the trolls only get sent through to one client. So what I want to do here, I actually want to stop the ticker service so that I can test this. I then come back into here. Oh, I didn't mean to close Emblazon. I'll open that up again in a moment. Oh, I just accidentally closed the tab. Not your fault, Yaricha. Welcome back, 2box. Okay, so how do I do this? Plus new tab, here we go. Then I can pop that in there, close these, and then let's just connect two of them. And we can see that they're updating in lockstep. In fact, what I'm going to do here to help debug this, because we're just getting too much data through, I'm going to temporarily change the entity service to not send through the entire entity, and instead have it just send through like the ID or something like that. Where does this happen? That happens in here. So we're going to do callback message dot, it's just ID. What's message? Oh, JSON.id. Okay, that looks good. And if we connect a second client, you can see that they are both receiving that same ID on every single tick. This is not what I want. So how do I change this code? Now it's going to be the way that I'm using PubSub. So by default, it is using, Redis is doing some sort of a fan out. Redis PubSub distribute load. What a queue. Message queue is close. Okay, I think this is what I want to be using. Two sets of commands that are utilized in such a system. Okay, so PubSub, and this is what I'm using at the moment, and I really just put anything in that I could. I just wanted to get it working. What this does is the entity service, it has a process running in the background on every tick that is pushing stuff into the queue. Well, into the queue. So it publishes that, but now our ticker services are these consumers, and you can see that when a message gets pushed in, that gets delivered to every one of the consumers. That is not what we want. And here's an example of the use case is a group chat system. So when somebody pushes a message in, you want that to go out to everyone. Popple push, on the other hand, I presume when we publish a message, all right, they're pushing in 3 messages here, 1, 2, and 3. You can see that consumers are each getting a different message, and each message is only being processed once. Presumably, it also needs to handle the concept of acknowledging a message. Let's see here. Okay, so I am going to have to think about this. Because I need to understand this concept. Oh, okay, this makes sense. The producer L pushes messages. It's the list. The consumer consumes messages. Pop a message M1 from the list queue, and at the same time push that message to another working list. Okay. So we have to have this other list, which is the list of things that we are currently working on. That's fine. Once it finishes processing the message, it is then responsible for removing it from working. That's fine. If it fails to process the message, it can either push it back into the original queue or just push it into a rejected queue, or presumably it could also just drop the message. And for my use case, I think dropping the message is the best way forward. Yeah, Metal Storm, I agree with that, but the design of my system is such that I can drop messages and they'll just get picked up on the next tick. So the way I'm going to be doing the AI, I'll be amending the AI to record when the AI last successfully executed. So if a message gets dropped, we'll re-enqueue that agent to have its AI processed. And then the AI processor, one of the things it needs to do is say, well, how much time has passed since the AI last successfully executed? So I do not need reliable queuing here. If something falls out of the queue, or if the queues are in memory and just reset, something just gets rebuilt or whatever, that's absolutely fine because the next tick will come through, it'll re-queue everything, and that will cause everything to just come back into sync. So rather than um, uh, rather than avoiding Redis because it's unreliable, I'm building my system around the assumption that Redis is unreliable. It's often a better way of doing things, and the reason for that is anything guaranteeing reliability in a distributed system uh, I mean, technically impossible, and to get close to it is really expensive from a latency point of view or a throughput point of view. So you're better off using inconsistent, or sorry, not inconsistent, definitely not inconsistent. You're better off using unreliable building blocks and just accepting that it's unreliable and making sure that it will become reliable. Well, it'll become consistent once you lose, if you lose a message, if that makes sense. Okay. And so, just to expand on that, that's one of the reasons I don't really want to bother with a rejected queue. I would rather just have, yeah, I'd rather have the messages just disappear because I know they're going to get processed again in a moment anyway. What I do need to understand here, though, is why we have a separate working queue. Um, uh, I mean, do I really need one? So each consumer has their own. Oh, they're saying, yeah, I'm not a fan of. I'm just going to use a single queue, and I'm just going to use push and pop. Because as I've said, if a message disappears, my system should be resilient to that. Likewise, if a message gets delivered twice, I should also be resilient to that. Okay, so this is currently wrong. There's another issue here, which is I currently don't have any sort of thresholding or windowing in here. So as it stands at the moment, this mechanism, ignoring the fact that it's using PubSub at the moment, this mechanism will stream data through to the consumers, ticker services, as fast as it can. And that's not ideal because if a ticker service falls behind, it's just going to keep on falling further and further behind. So I need to put some sort of flow control in here to do add a flow control mechanism. It's not to prevent the queue from growing too large, it's to stop the consumers from being sent too much data. Now, how that works, how that will work, I'm not sure. So the most obvious way would be to have it only a single entity get sent through to each, uh, or a block of entities get sent through to each consumer, or each subscriber, I should say, and then require that the subscriber send back an acknowledgement once it's finished processing those. Another approach would be to have basically a semaphore where we allow each consumer to have a backlog of some number of entities to be processed, and they then they send data back to the queue to indicate that they finished processing a slot, whatever that is. Fish with two knees. No, no idea. What do you call a fish with two knees? I used to get these jokes. Get this to send the entire JSON blob. Yes, so I'm not doing that yet. I'm not worrying about flow control yet. Two knee fish. Oh, that's terrible. Okay. So populate queues. Here, I'm not actually trying to publish. That's not what I want to type. Redis client dot. I want an L push. Okay. Yes, that is the intention, Metal Storm. I still don't have the exact mechanism thought out for how I'm going to do that, but yeah, absolutely, I don't want to keep on pushing stuff in. An alternative to a TTL is actually just to have an overflow condition. Uh, it, an overflow condition is simpler to implement, but just takes a little bit longer for it to recover from downtime. Because what would then happen is if there were too many items in the queue, we'd stop pushing items into the queue. And then once everything came good again, we'd kind of process those old AI entities. And then it would um, be able to start populating them again. Overwritten immediately. Yes, and causing the AI to jerk around and keep changing its mind, I don't think is a bad thing to have. As long as you don't have um, executions of the AI, as long as they're never going back in time, uh, I think that jerking around is actually a good outcome when something has either failed to process or you know if services are crashing, AI jerking around is a really good outcome. I'll be streaming for about another 40 minutes, 2 box. Um, Now, what you don't want on the AI is you don't want it processing a message for now and then processing a message for last tick, like the previous tick, um, because then you will get uh, AI agents kind of literally just jumping back and forth. In fact, I do have code that does that at the moment, which is undesirable. Um, but by putting in code to require that a write from an AI agent never goes back in time, I think that the jerkiness you get is a really good outcome for what is basically a failure condition. Um, and it shouldn't if a single AI process, so you know, processing a particular troll on a particular tick, if that for some reason is executed slowly, not because there's some really hard work to do, but because that node is in a funny state or um, needs to be rebooted or something like that, then what I want to happen is I actually want another node to pick up the next tick for that troll to process 2 ticks worth of AI, hopefully have that execute quickly, and then when the bad node goes to submit its results, those results will just get rejected as I've already got a more recent version of this entity. So you can stop executing now. And in general, while it will cause ticks to get kind of skipped, the end result will be the same as if it had processed all the ticks. It just means there won't be an update for one of those ticks. That's the updates that will be skipped, not um, the state will still be consistent. Um, okay. So I need to not subscribe here. We need to await. Now, I don't know how to do this here because I need a blocking. Here we go. Yep, there's the handler. That code looks really good. Just copied my other implementation, which is fine. What doesn't it like here? Uh, I think it's that. Um, having troubles understanding this message. Let's go and take a look at TypeScript, Redis, rpop. I don't think that's the library I'm using. I'll look at the documentation anyway. It might have a relevant example. Pop. Oh, this isn't going to be TypeScript, is it? Okay, here we go. It's just not async. Async the issue. Let's just try that. I must be doing something silly here. Hmm. Turn anything? It's just that. I'm going to try just modifying this code. Let's just do, it's rpop, isn't it? Rpop is meant to be err, comma message. Let's just try and get the types right. I think the issue here is the any's. Okay. Assignable to that. Hmm. I don't know what these types are meant to be. And they're presumably not allowed to be any because, well, that's ultimately what this is complaining about. Uh, that one is definitely a string. Hmm. Okay, there is a PR somewhere. Hold on, where is it? I'm terrible at working out where requests are. Complete here. Want to find the actual change they made. Locking list pop. Here we go. Oh, this isn't TypeScript, I think. All right. How hard can it be to get this type? To keep on looking at code examples until I find someone doing this in TypeScript. Um, Redis TypeScript, type. Um, Ah, I think I need this. Or I might be able to do it without, just by setting this to be error. No. Oh, hold on. I think some of the code I saw earlier, um, this code. Okay, hold on. So in here, much easier way of doing it. I had this code up ages ago. If I had looked at it for 10 seconds longer, I would have been fine. So no, I don't want this handler. What I actually want to do in here is, it's not going to be while true, but I just want to see how this code is going to unfold. I do need to handle disconnect. Let connected equal true. And I think I can actually just say connected equal to false in here and just allow this whole thing to say while we're connected, subscribed, I guess, is a better. Just allows the caller to allow this loop to exit. And then probably message, I guess. Await redis.blpop. Here we go. Now, I don't know what this parameter here is. It's the timeout, that's fine. But I need a way of causing this to exit. So what if we instead use a non-blocking one? Redis Node.js interrupt blocking. I'm going to put a to-do in for this. So I need a way of interrupting a pop that's in progress. One way of doing that, not ideal, but I don't think that there is an interrupt mechanism in here. So one way of doing it is to actually put a wait on that. So let's do Redis BL pop timeout. So when the timeout happens, blocking behavior. If none of the specified keys exist, blocks the connection until another client performs that. The timeout is interpreted as a double value specifying a maximum number of seconds. So no, that's, let's just do 1 second. That way we can shut down a subscription in about a second. And I assume this will come back as it's like empty or something. So we need to only, oh wow, hang on, message is return. Key and element. What I'm going to do in here is I'm going to say, let's just actually just put a breakpoint in here. Okay. This stuff all gets commented out. That is does not need to be there. It is kind of ready, isn't it? I need to debug the entity service now because that's where this code lives. Start up the ticker service again. Okay. Here's an example of a queue that had nothing in it. Message is null. Good to know. So I'm going to change this code to be, it's going to keep on breakpointing for some, because it's a debugger, yes. If message, then I'm just going to put in a debugger here. Restart the service. We'll wait for an example. An example involving an actual message. I need to restart the ticker service because it's not handling the the reconnect yet. Okay, this is not working. Hmm. Oh, I was already on a breakpoint, was I? Yes, I was. Okay. A little bit confused why it sends the data back like this, but presumably I can give it multiple cues or something to listen on. But in my case, I can really just grab that. And we can do something like that. Restart this one. Restart this one. Um, let's do that. Really get the reconnect mechanism working. This is a bit of a pain, isn't it? Restart the world every time I make a change at the moment. What's wrong here? It didn't compile. Um, let's do await that. Question mark dot element, and then in here I can just say message. Here we go. Then message dot length, and then call back with the entity. Doesn't like that. That's fair enough. That crashed. Try again. If it breaks, turn it off and on again, and that's up and running. Restart the ticker service to get it to reconnect. Okay, I can see JSON being sent. And if I come back now to the ticker service, we can see that we are receiving messages. Cool. Just clean up some of this code. Yep, we're still not handling flow control. I need to make sure that we are correctly only sending out a single entity at a time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the ticker service. And then over in here, I'm going to connect each of these two sessions, and we should see it just, it's, okay, let's try this again. Disconnect, disconnect, and temporarily do entity.id. We're doing here. Entity.id. Really doesn't like me changing the code under it, does it? There we go. I can see them getting processed. You notice it processed a bunch of them at a time then. That's the issue, issue that Metalstorm was referring to. And then we connect a second one. And now you can see that each one is only processing every second tick. That is exactly what I expect to see. Now, if I create a second troll in another chunk, why not? This one happens to be processing one of the chunks. This one is processing the, sorry, one of the trolls. This one's processing other troll. Beautiful. Okay, I think I might, just off stream, I'll just do a tiny bit of code cleanup and get that committed. Now, I do have a slight announcement to make on my availability for streaming. It is going to change a bit. I've been offered a position at another startup, and I have decided to accept that. Now, that means I'm not going to be able to stream during the week because that is a full-time position, and I expect to have a fair bit of workload. I might look at streaming every now and then on the weekends. And I do still intend to get another devlog episode out in the near future, but I'll be doing that. I'll be limited to weekends because, yeah, my workload is about to ratchet up just about 8 notches. So I'm sure that's not the news people wanted to hear, but it's unfortunately just the way it is. So this stuff is going to have to take a bit of a backseat for me for now. So I think that is it for today. And until next time, I'll catch you all around.